Hello, and welcome to the podcast about Transformers comics, toys, and everything in between. I'm Onyx Prime with my two co-hosts here.
Hi, I'm Computron.
Hi, I'm Kilobyte.
And welcome to Season 2 of the show. We're doing a special giveaway, so stay tuned until the end of the show for details and see how you can enter to win an amazing Transformers figure. I'm jealous. Moving on with our comic book discussion for today's episode takes us to IDW Transformers Robots in Disguise Volume 1. And, as always, spoiler warning. Because why? Just read the comics first. Bots, gentle bots, and lady bots. Anyway, if you haven't read it already, we highly recommend you go back and read it and then listen to the podcast. Now, onwards. You all know the drill. This is Kilobyte's first time reading the series, and we're excited to hear his thoughts. But before we can do that, let's hear some facts and trivia from Computron.
So starting with the facts, there are 5 comic issues in this volume. The first issue was released February 2nd in 2012, or 22nd in 2012, and the 5th was released May 30th that same year. The writer was John Barber, and the artists were Andrew Griffin and Casey Collar, with colors by Josh Perez. So, trivia. In issue 1, one of the nails in the opening double spread is an homage to Boba Fett. I missed that, so I gotta go back and see that. In issue 4, Bombshell utters a warped variation of Tulala 1. In that respect, the choice of Sunstorm as his victim for his scene on that part of the writer is probably a deliberately Easter eggy one. Sunstorm has a history of these kinds of pseudo-religious ramblings and other continuities. In issue 5, Skybite remarks that a sweep reminds him of someone he knew long ago. A joke about how the sweeps all look like Scourge and how Robots in Disguise 2001 Skybite knew a different Scourge. So, that's all there is. So, Mr. Kilobyte, would you please give us a short summary of these comics?
Will do. With more and more nails arriving on Cybertron every day, his authority begins to be questioned at every turn, and his tenuous control of the Decepticons is slipping away. Bumblebee is forced to make a drastic choice. Could it be? And as always, all this information has been taken from the wiki.
He makes several drastic choices in this issue, which,
Yes.
let's get down to it, shall we?
Let's.
We open up to somewhat a peaceful Cybertron, with the exception of Cybertron being alive and trying to kill everything around it. But besides that, the war is over. The bots from all across the galaxy are finally coming home. What are your thoughts? I also want to point out I really like the character designs of all the background bots. It's really cool seeing all these unique figures and whatnot. What's your thoughts?
I love the character design. Love it. Love Prowl. I love Bumblebee. I love Ironhide. And even though I didn't see her alt mode, I love RCs.
Yeah?
Yeah, I like all the designs as well. I did find the Boba Fett looking one. I'm like, ooh, I'll put that on my notes. But then it was already in the fun facts.
We'll bring it up again on the YouTube. We'll have it come up a couple times. It's good stuff. He's hiding up there in the bottom right corner.
Yeah, I also like the bot that's doing like a graffiti on the ship.
Yeah.
His
Yeah.
shoulder pads remind me like an old buggy, kind of like a BMW bug.
Yeah, I could see that.
But like more retro. I don't think we see him transform, but like just the shoulders alone, I'm like, oh, I like those. Those look pretty cool.
Yeah. So I also want to point out this is Robots in Disguise, which is a divergence right after the first issue of Volume 1 of More Than Meets the Eye. So this takes place right after the Lost Light explodes. And so, to everyone's perspective on Cybertron, the entire crew of the Lost Light is dead. What are your thoughts on that? Did Prowl do this? Is it just a certain happenstance? Like, coming through the eyes of a Cybertronian that lives here and does not know what we know.
They kind of didn't seem to really care about the ship blowing up, to be honest with you.
Well, everyone thinks like B did it.
Yeah, there's the rumors that Bumblebee did it to show his power, to show him that anybody that goes against his regime, if we want to call it that, will meet a demise, just like the Lost Light.
I mean, it's a very convincing argument when you know none of the other facts.
That is true.
Sounds familiar, like other arguments going on, but that's okay. So some of the Decepticons have been promoted to keeping the peace. That seems like a bad idea, at least to me. And Prowl isn't any better at this. What are your thoughts? I know, Killbite, you have some strong opinions on this.
Yeah. Well, it like a whole, I have big opinions of this comic, but it's I don't know what Prowl was thinking of having Decepticons, even though they have the inhibitor ships that won't allow them to transform or use their weapons. They still have the tendency to cause problems, and it's not good. It's not good for anybody, and it's surely not helping B's cause of a better Cybertron.
Yeah, well said. Computron, you have any thoughts on this?
Well, I mean, not really, because a lot of the stuff I want to talk about is kind of how follied this plan is, essentially.
Okay.
But really, it's probably improv. The only way I can say this with a straight face.
Okay, let's move on. We'll get to the spot that you want to talk about. So, Bumblebee and Metal Hawk have a talk about how citizens are being treated, and they get into a situation where he had to detonate one of the ID inhibitor chips on a Decepticon who was beating a civilian and kills Horrible in front of many, many other citizens.
That's
Bumblebee is
horrible.
ruthless. He just died, Computron. I guess with B, if you mess with the bull, you get the horns.
Well, not in this case. The bull got the horn.
Yeah, but Bumblebee's got horns on his head. Anyway, sorry. That was probably needed too much reference to understand the joke. What are your thoughts, though, on this murder?
I don't know. I think I don't know. Like throughout the whole comic, I just get a vibe that things are repeating themselves, and they started a war because um, the lower class was being oppressed, and then now that everything's peaceful, air quotes, the ones in control are still doing the same thing, and like if you don't comply with us, they just click the button, blow your head off, and move on with their day, and it's like, what are you guys doing? This is not right at all.
Yeah, it definitely feels like all the Decepticons have fought for the last 4 million years to only end up in the same spot. It feels kind of disheartening.
Yeah.
Disbarking? Is it disbarking? Yeah. The humans say disheartening.
Yes.
Yeah,
Still.
it's intense. And things escalate even further because Starscream decides that he wants to have a talk with Bumblebee. But Bumblebee, knowing Starscream, and we know in Starscream, he's probably up to something. So what does Bumblebee do?
Just electrocutes him.
Yeah, yeah, doesn't kill him, just stuns him real good.
Yeah, like Starscream shows up. Bumblebee comes out and he's like, I know you have a plan. I know you have people waiting for to do something horrible or attack me or anything. And he just electrocutes him in there and it's like, okay, it's done. Come on, let's move on. And I'm like, you didn't even let him speak.
No, no, he barely even got a word out, and bam, he's not dead though. They just threw him in a
you
jail
know,
cell.
you know, you know that whole saying where it's like innocent until proven guilty.
Oh, that's Starscream.
With Starscream, it's guilty until proven innocent.
Yeah. And for Starscream, he tries something new. He tells them the truth. What do you think about this? Do you think Starscream had an internal struggle before he ended up telling him the Decepticons' plan?
Clearly, he didn't like Rat Bat.
Well, he's not on his side.
No.
He's on Starscream's side.
And I don't know. I would like to explore Starscream before the whole war a little bit more, because I know he likes to lie and always kind of like for his side. I feel like he wouldn't fight himself over telling the truth, especially if it will help his cause. So he'll say whatever means possible, but I don't think he's gonna be debating if it's the right thing to do or not. He's like, how does this help me?
Yeah. He's opportunist.
Yeah, he's an opportunist. So I kind of want to learn more if he was always like this or if he, throughout the years, he learned to be more mischievous and more opportunist to get what he wants.
Yeah, well, as long as you live to scheme another day, your schemes are going to slowly get better and better, right?
Yeah.
Until you're dead. Then your schemes don't get any better. Which Starscream telling the truth takes us to an attempt assassination by Skywarp to kill Bumblebee at the grand speech, the speech that they're going to talk about the lost ones from the Lost Light. Wow, that's a sentence.
The memorial. Yes.
The memorial,
the
yes.
memorial.
What's your thoughts on the Skywarp attempt to assassinate? That Prowl intervenes. There's a lot.
I kind of forgot that for the longest time that Skywarp can just teleport or go invisible. Is that what it was? He teleported, right?
Yeah, he can
Teleports,
tell.
yeah.
Yeah, and so like the longest time I'm like, man, why do you even have a flying mode? You can just teleport.
It's so true, though.
Yeah. Well, I don't know if those abilities can be deactivated, but it can also help him reach higher places if he can't teleport there. So it kind of like compensating in case he doesn't have it.
Yeah, no, that's fair. So that assassination attempt is thwarted, but there is, however, a successful assassination made. Do you
Yeah,
want to talk about that, Kilobyte? Sounds like you want to.
I didn't really
You
like it.
volunteered. You volunteered. Tell us who died and who did the killing.
It just didn't feel right. But Ratbat got killed, got assassinated by RC.
It felt amazing.
Yeah, RC is brutal in these comics. She's says she's not an assassin, but she's an assassin. She says things like, "I'm not going to kill you," and then just says, "Just kidding," and then does a murder. Chills, scary.
You know what we need to do? You know what we need to do? Is like from here on out, at the top of the screen, we needed to have a RC kill count just on the top
we-
corner.
So we have
Oh.
the table count, the jazz hand count, and now the RC kill count.
You know what? Sure. All right, so starting with phase 2, because we're not going to count anything before, because I don't know how many numbers that would go up. So countdown for 1, I believe, for RC.
Just phase 2, right?
Just phase 2 from here
Yeah.
on out. Yeah. So let's continue forward. Then Starscream at the memorial pulls a Starscream move. Kilobyte, you want to talk about this?
Yeah, well,
What's a Starscream move in this case?
in this case, like we said, he's always plotting. So in saving Bumblebee, he ends up getting on stage and starts saying that we Decepticons want to stick together and we want to help everybody grow and all the Cybertron. And he kind of elects himself to be part of the council here with Bumblebee and Metalhawk. And of course, being all public, the crowd kind of cheers on, and now there's no way to take it back. So he's forced into position, which goes perfectly for him.
Right, and there's a lot of things moving in his favor because, like, sure, he'll get the Decepticon vote, but he'll also get the unknown support, the people who have not been on Cybertron, so they don't know how much of a bad idea this is. You know what I mean? They're just like, oh yeah, this is fair. We should have one from each faction.
Yep.
So it's just interesting how this kind of not quite election, but move into power is similar to other things we see around us. I want to take us forward, and Computron, poor barrel roll. Bit ironic though. He should have barrel rolled out of that situation. Then maybe he'd still be
No,
with us.
that was my pun.
Oh.
Really, I had it written down, but I'm sorry. You want to say it
Mine's on my hand. I ripped mine down on my hand.
on your hand? Okay. Well, speaking of which, Computron Kilo, while you were reading this, the first time for Computron that is, what did you think caused this explosion, and what eventually does it end up being?
When I read it, I had no idea because there's so many things happening in this comic, like people getting assassinated, this explosion over here, schemings and other. I had no idea what it could have been. At first, maybe I thought it was like Barrel Roll had a bomb inside him, didn't know, and it exploded. But other than that, I couldn't think of a single thing that could have made that explosion.
Yeah, fair enough. Computron, what did the explosion end up being?
I honestly forgot.
Oh boy, it ended up being.
I know like the scene. I just forgot what it ended up being. I know like when I first read it, I thought it was like a soundwave and shockwave scheme at first.
A little bit. It
Yeah.
was so since Cybertron it ended up being like a weird situation and very hand wavy, but the energy given off from the sun, and since Cybertron used to have two moons and then they had one moon, but they made up for it with the satellite Kima, but now Kimia, or I'm probably pronouncing that wrong, is no longer in orbit. So all this positive energy is charging up the photons, I guess, and causing explosions. So they needed a way to capture that energy. And for some reason, this caused explosions on Cybertron. Very, very interesting idea. I'm not sure if I'm for it entirely, but it does make an interesting mystery.
Yeah, which I don't like because they like Wheeljack fixes the problem for a second until they get something in place. Now that he knows the solution,
Hmm.
but they show a scene where the ball of energy is being propelled into space, and he says that for those that don't know or anything, it looks like some fireworks. And then there's a scene where RC has a big green says "heh," and I'm like, that's very unsettling. Why are you laughing like that?
Yeah, she's a bit insane in this comic. I'm gonna be honest. It's definitely an interesting time to be a RC.
I don't know what G-Haxes did, but it must have really messed her up.
Yeah,
I like if I remember correctly, this is specifically wasn't this intentional? Like they didn't think like in the previous. I don't remember. I remember reading it somewhere that they didn't feel like they. You know how she was just chasing Geoxys for almost forever, right? And like
for 6 years. Yeah.
yeah, well, that sorry, but like they didn't feel like that they captured the insanity that was being brought to her enough. And I think Chaos Theory was it Chaos Theory.
She's in the Heart of Darkness with Hardhead, and that's where we find the broken down Jihaxis.
Yeah,
She only fights a little bit. They don't really show too much because she has to escape because Galvatron and the sweeps are there.
Also, not a good time to be RC.
yeah, I could swear like they didn't. They felt like they didn't capture. I could have swear it. They felt like they didn't capture her insanity well within those comics.
That might have been at the end of the volume notes from the writer.
Maybe. Yeah.
Yeah. So I'm gonna push us forward a little bit. The aerial bots decide to leave the city in protest of Starscream joining the council. What's your thoughts?
Bye.
Oh my goodness. Well, they're leaving because Barrel Roll wasn't very good for his namesake, um, and they think the Decepticons caused these explosions first before they figured out the solution to what it was. And then Starscream, obviously. It's interesting. Silverbolt's a bit of a hothead in this one.
Yeah. I think we'll see because right now tensions are very high between them. They want peace, but there's still the grudge from the past. If bots don't forget and move on, there's still going to be conflict.
Yeah, there's that 4 million year weight still on
Yeah.
everybody. So eventually, B allows the Decepticons to get other jobs other than being peacekeepers and removes. Does he remove the. No, he doesn't remove their ID chip. He just allows them to change form. And Swindle is talking his mouth off, and Dirge says something that we're all thinking, "You're an idiot, Swindle."
It's a swindle thing.
Mere 2 panels later, Dirge runs into somebody. At this moment, who do you think that is, Kilo?
When I saw it, I thought it was Snar from Last Down of the Records because it looked
Oh, the
familiar.
Deadbot?
Yeah, later on I figured out it was dead, but so it couldn't be him. But I thought it was Snar at that moment.
Who do you think he said when he said, "Oh, it's you," after he found the body?
Man, I don't know. There's so many things happening.
Yeah, no, that's fair.
Is this after or before Prowl has a conversation with an unknown bot?
I think this is before.
For okay, because
Yeah.
I can't like. There's so many things here that just go in between. I can't pinpoint anybody. Like I can't. I don't know who it could have been.
Okay, that's fair. We'll keep moving and see if we can discover the mystery.
I do want to pinpoint something with that bot that he found dead. Is called Skydive, which is also the same name as a aerial bot, and so they make a joke about that they're the same bot or the same name, but they're different bots. Which I think it's kind of like the reference to the toys where they have the same names, but they're The
Oh, most
characteristics are very
definitely.
different.
Yeah, just like how the humans have many people named John or Jim or, you know.
Yeah.
So pushing us forward, what is this mystery? Computron, do you mind describing it and give us your thoughts? The one with, Bombshell and RC and that fun stuff?
Well, it turns out the Mr. Dirge there had a bombshell on his head, right?
Yeah,
And then uh,
a bombshell mind controlled bug.
he had a bombshell on his head. What a bombshell. Anyway, you didn't write that one down. I got you.
No, you got that one. You win.
um anyway, so it turns out that bombshell had his own kind of stuff, lining about, and well, he okay, my head's stuck on one thing and I really want to talk about it.
Yeah.
Is how, like, when bombshell started talking to Prowl and RC, he was talking about in like he wasn't talking like clear English or clear Cybertronian language, whatever they're speaking. He was like jagged. Like, he
Mhm.
never really talked like that before.
Not
At
in
least
the
I didn't.
comics, but I think it's paying more homage to the G1 series where the Insecticons all had like a tick of some kind.
Okay.
So like one of them would
Waspinator.
repeat Waspinator.
Waspinator.
He's a Predacon though, but like one of them would repeat the last word they say a couple times. One would just sound like he's gargling marbles. Stuff like that.
Yeah. So they ended up chasing out Bombshell, and well, Bombshell leads Mr. Prowl and RC to some Constructicons,
Oh boy,
Yep.
and
they about to build up a problem.
to quote one of my favorite movies, Boondock Saints, there was a firefight, or at least there was a bomb shell.
Yeah, you're just gonna keep bringing that one up. All right. So the pursuit ends with all of the Constructicons being killed off via ID chips. They think they're safe, but Prowl says the magic words "wheeljack, wheeljack, wheeljack," and they all their chips are now reconnected to whatever they disconnected from, and bada bing, bada boom, they drop dead.
The head go boom.
Yeah. So, Kilo, I know in previous episode you said Prowl's pretty cool. You like Prowl. Is that
Yeah.
still true up to this point?
Ah, with this comic, I hate everybody. I don't know. I don't like what the Autobots have become, at least right here, right now, because they've become the same oppressors that we had at the beginning of the whole uh, continuity, like an autocracy and all that. And they're doing the same thing. If you don't work with them, they'll just blow your head off and they'll call it a day. Like I don't like anybody.
I feel like that was intentional, though, right?
Yeah, it feels a little intentional to feel like they're not quite out of the loop of the war yet.
Yeah.
Also, I feel like Ironhide has been very peacemakery, but that also might be excused because technically he didn't live the war because he had a reset.
Yeah.
But yeah, Computron, any thoughts?
No, not really.
Yeah, I think out of all the comics, Ironhide was the nicest one.
So, speaking of nice bots, we get more ships landing on Cybertron from across the galaxy, coming home after now that the war is over. My favorite, Skybite.
The poet himself.
Now, my first time meeting Skybite was from RID 2001 series, the TV series, and I will say, I think this version of him in IDW does him justice. But what are your thoughts on this character at this point?
I like it. I like it. I haven't seen much of Skybite. I think I have a toy from the Armada series, but it's like a different Skybite. It doesn't have the whole poetry and everything like that. Uh, but so far it's interesting. He seems pretty mellow, pretty nice. So we'll see where that goes. I like that he flies in shark mode.
Yeah, that's it. It's exactly what he did in the show as well. Computron?
uh, I love the poet. I love him so much. It is interesting that when he showed up, he immediately went to being disappointed. But I kind of also wanted to brush up on, how like to me, like right off the bat when you first meet him, he has that RBF. And like, oh, this guy's gonna be a bad dude. He's gonna be a rude dude with a tude, he's gonna be a bad guy. And then he just shows up and he's not.
Yeah, it builds up anticipation, and then he's not a threat at all, and he doesn't want to be a threat. He's just trying to figure out why are there still tensions on this planet.
I like that they do mention that he didn't agree with something that happened with the Constructicons a while back, and that's why
Hmm.
he left them and everything. So I like that. So when they introduced him and he's like asking, he's like, "What's going on?" He's kind of like trying to figure out everything, and it made me like him more, especially when he meets with Swindle and everything. And the Autobots kind of capture him. They try to treat him as everybody else, and I'm like, but he did nothing. He was just at the
Yeah,
wrong place at the wrong
exactly.
time.
So he gets firsthand of some of the police brutality from Prowl and company. And this is a bit rough and hard to witness because he's not only getting police brutality, he's being blamed for something he didn't do. And this is because of through the influences of just everything of surrounding him. But his old, I want to say arch nemesis, but they try to kill each other at one point. Ironhide steps in and vouches for him and just says like, yeah, he was in the wrong place at the wrong time. And that's the only thing he was guilty of. And this in itself, and talking about how we are just as bad as the oppressors who were before us. B removes the ID chips from the Decepticons, which later on Prowl destroys a table in disagreement. Mark two, two tables for Prowl.
Two
So
tables
far,
for Prowl.
yeah. What are your thoughts here? That's the last of my notes, but let's talk.
I think that's to show good faith. I know Decepticons tend to be sneaky and they try to create chaos. But if somebody tries to progress along and try to show that good faith, that eventually things could be resolved. But we can only wait and see what happens. Like I know B is trying, and there's so many things going on. It's different than being in command of a war than it is being commanded during peace, because you have to show your people that you're there for their well-being, and you're doing things for the good of people and not for the good of a kind of like your group.
Yeah,
So removing those chips, yes, bots will disagree, but it is the right thing to do, especially now that everything's at peace. There's no more war. We should be trying to work all this together and create a united Cybertron.
yeah. Well said. That's what we need. That's what we need. I tell you what. Will we achieve it?
Can only hope.
Can only hope
Maybe
it.
keep Soundwave and Shockwave's chips in.
Yeah, maybe. Or just better yet, put him in jail for now. So Rod star rating. Let's have Kilobyte go first this time.
I hated all of the wrong things the Autobots were doing. It's just, man, it just drove me nuts because they're supposed to
That
be.
means the writer did a good job, right?
Yeah, like I understand that was the point and
Don't
everything,
you knock off
but
points for that.
I have I have to say it's not what I want. Okay, it has to be what I want, not the writer. No, but I think it was fun and drove me nuts. But it's something that shows progress in the transition between war and peace. So I'll give it a 4.
Or right on. Computron?
I love RC too much. So I'm gonna go with 4 too.
Four. I like the story. I think it's good. The mystery is good. There's some cheesy mysteries like the exploding photon thing from the sun energy thing. That was a little hand wavy to me. So I'm gonna give this a 3.5. I do like the art. I do see a lot of the War for Cybertron influences here and there.
Which I
Yeah,
like.
RC is a uh, uh, how would you say this?
She did a
Amazing.
murder.
She did many murders. Okay. What? Yeah. Like, what'd she say when she murdered Sunstorm in front of Prowl? Like, oh, I'm sorry. Was this your friend? And then just murders him. Oh my goodness. Yeah. But listeners, what did you think of these comics? How many Rod stars would you give it? Let us know by leaving a comment below. All right. Let's talk about the current giveaway we are doing in celebration of season 2 of the podcast. We will be doing a brand new giveaway, completely different from season 1. Computron this time. Do you mind telling the listeners how they can enter?
Yeah. We are giving away a Transformers 86 line Jazz toy. The giveaway will run for another 5 weeks, and the winner will be announced on the Earth calendar month of January 24th, 2022. So here's how to enter. First, you will need to subscribe to our YouTube channel and follow us on Twitter. Each entry counts as a single point. You can earn bonus points to win by leaving a comment on our YouTube channel, right? Or retweeting this episode on Twitter. So, and of course, good luck to all of you.
I'm jealous. That Jazz looks amazing.
Does look
So,
cool.
You mean my Jazz, right?
you just are you gonna enter? You're gonna make a pseudo account and try to enter. So,
Don't
but
you
if you want to get
doubt me.
if you want to get in contact with us, you can send us an email at swervebarpodcast@gmail.com. Do you guys have any toys you want to talk about?
I have one.
Yeah.
I like the jazz we're giving away, so I got myself one.
Oh, that's cheating. You're supposed to wait until after the giveaway.
Suddenly there's knocking at your door.
No, you can come in. But I like it. It's pretty cool. I really enjoy the toy.
Right on. I got the new Flame Toys Rodimus model kit that I am currently spray painting and changing the colors of. Now, what colors to what? We'll see. I will post the images as soon as they are ready on the Twitters. And maybe when I'm done, there might be an image on one of the YouTube videos. Ooh.
Shall see.
Yeah, we'll see. Computron, you have anything you want to talk about?
Not really. I don't have anything new yet. I did go on a 42-mile hike, though.
Ooh.
Nice. That's a glorious hike here on Cybertron. What parts of Cybertron did you do your hike on?
I went from Icon all the way to Tarn.
That's a trek. That's quite a journey.
I don't think that was 42 miles.
Must be pretty close together. I don't know.
No, I had a escape waspinator. He was kind of following me.
So you just
Where is that buddy? Thought he'd be around here. Maybe we'll see him in the next episode.
yeah, maybe he's busy.
Maybe he's busy. He's buzzing around. Are you guys ready for Transformers More Than Meets the Eye Volume 2?
I am.
Yeah.
Can't wait to see this journey.
Okay, so it's going to be a good time. Do you mind taking us out, Kilobyte?
Yes. If you've enjoyed this episode, consider sharing it with your friends and subscribing. We hope you are all staying safe out there. And as always, thank you so much for listening. Till all are one.
Till all are one.
Till all are one.
Follow us on Facebook and Instagram at Swerve's Bar Podcast. You can also find us on Twitter at Swerve's Bar. If you are interested in more content, try checking out the spin-off D&D Transform and Rollout Rise of the World Killers. Let's tune in for a preview now.
And back to the top with Wolfie.
She just ignored you.
Completely. She does completely ignore you. She does not care.
Dang, I'm trying to smack talk and all I get is a wall.
Exhilarating. There is also a YouTube channel with bonus content. Link will be provided below. End transmission.